I wouldn't say I like really came to terms with knowing I had ADHD until as an adult. There's this kind of a magic number. It's called the 4-year rule. And it's like, a lot of people take actually 4 years to fully find their groove. They overestimate how much they can get done in a year, but they completely underestimate how much they can get done in 5. It was like this weird like clarity I had where I was like, this is the decision I needed to make in my life that I never knew I needed to make. But I feel like after I walked away from that conversation, I was like, oh, I think I'm just gonna go.
Do you remember how much you had saved at that point?
Yeah, I think at that time I probably had around.
Hi everyone, I am with my good friend Sherry. We're both in Singapore right now. Sherry, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sherry. 33 years old, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I do a couple of things. One, I have a business called Peak. It's a consumer app, but basically think Spotify Wrapped meets Duolingo Streaks, but for managing your money. So what we do is we help like people who are new grads manage money better by presenting the data in the form of stories instead of dashboards to make it much more enjoyable to do something that feels kind of boring. So that's what I do for my day job. And then on the side, I actually have a business as well called Code with AI, which glad to have you go through that as well. But we've helped over 500 people go from 0 to 1 in building apps using AI-assisted coding tools. So yeah, I do a lot of different things, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like how we met was also so funny.
Yeah.
Like, so we're both from the Bay Area. Wait, what city did you grow up in?
I grew up in a small town outside of Chicago and also San Diego. I kind of consider myself a Bay Area native though, even though I didn't go to high school there. I went to Berkeley, and I feel like, I don't know, I really identify with NorCal.
Yeah.
A lot more than SoCal.
I always thought you grew up in like Cupertino or something.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I give off that vibe.
You
but
do.
I mean, I hung up with so many people that went to Bay Area high schools, like at Berkeley. So
yeah.
I think people are really surprised when they're like, oh, you actually like grew up not here. I'm like, yeah. But I feel like I embody the Bay Area person.
You do. You have like the personality, like the hustle.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, so we met randomly at this New Year's party.
Yeah, I know.
And then you were already living in Singapore at the time.
Yeah.
I was in San Francisco, like thinking about moving to Singapore, and then we just randomly like started chatting at that party.
Yeah.
And then I feel like because of that conversation, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like a Bay Area community out there, and yeah, I decided to like come here as well. So now we're both in Singapore.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I'm glad you did. I mean, it was so random. Yeah.
I know.
It's so random. Yeah. I think I was taking a breather because it was hot, or maybe I was like heading out, but I think someone was like, oh, like, you need to meet Ernestine. And she's like thinking about moving to Singapore. I was like, I have to talk to her.
Yeah.
Just like, I think I was like saying that Singapore is awesome and you should like give it a try to like move out. And because I think when I moved to Singapore, like it was probably around the same like age year when you were considering it. So I was like, it was the best decision I made, even though I was like scared of like leaving California because I'd been there and everything. But it was so like, it was a good experience. It has been a good experience, just like stepping outside of that comfort zone, because you don't always get opportunities to do that like in your life, so might as well take a chance. So I was like, definitely pitching Singapore a lot, I think, that night when we met.
I know. Anyway, I want to talk more about Singapore later.
Yeah, for sure.
First, so you were born in Chicago. Where'd you go to high school?
So first part of high school, I went to Libertyville High School. Nothing really that special about Libertyville, except Marlon Brando from The Godfather went to my high school.
Okay. Cool.
And I don't know, they're Guinness World Book record holder of the longest streak of car dealerships or something like that.
Oh, very specific.
That's the only thing that they're known for. Two things. Marlon Brando, The Godfather, and then a lot of car dealers. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like my aunt went to Libertyville to buy a car. I'm like, I know, there's like a street with just cars. So very, very like, you think small town upbringing. And then I moved to San Diego in the middle of high school. It was like junior year. And I finished high school there. So that's how I ended up going to Cal, because it's like, state school.
What was your personality like when you were younger?
I think in some ways similar, but also different. I think I was actually a lot more shy growing up, which I think a lot of people would find surprising, because I'm like probably seen as more talkative now, but I think like as a kid, you know, I was like very bookish. Like I just loved reading and playing video games, and I felt like I didn't quite find maybe my friends who are a little bit nerdier or geekier that like to like, you know, talk about those things until I was a bit older. So that's like probably one big difference. But I think in some ways, like I'm kind of like the version of myself as a kid is like very similar to me now. But I guess how it manifested was I was very like rowdy and very like hyper. Like I wanted to like climb trees and like climb my house. Like just like was a big risk taker as a kid. Just wanted to push the boundaries of like what my parents allowed me to do because that gave me a thrill. And I wasn't actually very good at school for a long time, which is also surprising to some people because later on, like I was quite bookish, but I didn't like to sit still because like, I don't know, I undiagnosed ADHD growing up and didn't realize that until later on in my life. But I was like, couldn't really study well until I was like 10.
Yeah. So I think we talked about this, that you have ADHD and you're pretty public about it. I'm curious like how it impacted you growing up. Like how did you find out about it?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I wouldn't say I like really came to terms with knowing I had ADHD until as an adult, right? Like this is like post 20. But as a kid, it's like you just feel like you are kind of different than people, but you like can't really pinpoint. So I think there's a few things, right? I think one is you learn that interrupting other people when they're speaking just because you have an idea is like not very nice. And then like it's true, like I would just get so excited and just like cut people off. That was really like did not make me teacher's pet at all. Like it's like, you know, I think learning like some things as a kid don't come as intuitively, but you of course like learn systems for it, right? I think the other one is unless I was like really interested in a subject, like you cannot use obligation to like convince me to like study and do stuff, right? I had like really like hard time focusing, like bad at like low attention span, and I think, you know, your parents always try to do their best job, but I don't think my parents fully knew how to handle a kid that was like me. They would always be like in like Mandarin, they'll be like, oh, like, you know, this person's kid is like so obedient, like so good at studying, like why can't you be like them? And I always like was like, why can't I be like them, right? Like you know, you try, but you just like hit a wall sometimes. So I think after like, you know, kind of building up systems to like hack your way to do the things that make you like a, you know, functioning member of society, then like for myself, I realized, oh, okay, like this is what was happening to me when I was young, right? Like I am just different, and that's okay. Like you just learn how to like manage it.
Yeah. Also, every time we talk about ADHD, I feel like I also have ADHD.
Oh my god.
Always.
Oh my god.
It's like I used to flunk out of specific classes when I was really young, and I also hated school, and I hate taking direction. I don't know if that's an ADHD thing, but like
it can be related. Yeah.
Okay. And I still do that where I cut people off when I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it can be. It's really funny because I remember like, because, you know, we both know Rachel was awesome. And
we talked about this.
I had a conversation, like, I think it was me and Rahman, and we were talking because Rahman went to get diagnosed after getting to know me. And he's like, maybe I should just like ask her. And then Rahman and I were talking. Rachel was there. Rachel's like, I should get this checked out because I really resonate with like what they're saying. And then, so, I think like, it's one of those things where a lot of us don't really realize it until we're like older, right? And it's this come to Jesus moment where you're like, oh wow, like this might explain a lot of things that like have been happening in my life.
I feel like I simply cannot focus if I do not care about something.
So the way that you know, like neurologically, right, basically the way that an ADHD brain works is that in order for you to want to do something, it needs to release a lot of dopamine and this reward system for you. You don't naturally have a lot of it. So that's why like for the longest time, like I struggled so hard with like personal life admin. Like I'm not kidding. Like I've had times where like I was like months late on paying taxes, like, which some people are like, oh, but it doesn't take that long. But like for me, it's like an like I can't even like overcome that amount of work, right? It's like a wall. Like I just like it just makes me like I just never want to do it. But if you're like, oh, like, hey, do you want to go and like try to build an app in 12 hours straight and don't eat? I'm like, yes, sign me up, right? Like I'm okay to do that. Like I don't mind working hard. It's just like I need to be like super interested in it, and like when I'm interested, it's like obsessive. Like it's like it's a lot of intensity, right? So I think the brain just works kind of differently. So in some ways, it's I think really great when you're in like a role where I think ambition, creativity, like drive and risk taking are like rewarded, but it's not great in things like that like require you to follow rules or directions and like maintain order. So like I probably would be the worst accountant on the planet. I think I would probably not be I don't know, like I was gonna say not the best teacher, but I guess I do teach, but it's kind of code of theta is kind of different. I think I wouldn't always be the best like great like a kid like a grade school teacher, because I think it's all about like enforcing rules, and I'm kind of like, yeah, you
break the rules.
You do what you want to do. Right? Like break the rules. Like rules are like not that important. It's just like your brain is just different, and you do mask things. There's a term called like masking, right? Because you do have to like kind of be a normal neurotypical person a lot of times in life. So you just like create like systems that make you operate, and that's when people are sometimes surprised that you even have it, because they're like, oh, you seem like pretty normal. It's like, yeah, like I had to like being organized, being on time, being like, those are not intuitive. I had to make a lot of mistakes, piss a lot of people off, and then figure out, oh, this is how you should do things versus it doesn't come naturally.
And like the time pressure, working better under time pressure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, that's the other thing where sometimes people with ADHD need cortisol or like a stress hormone to even feel motivated to do anything.
That makes sense.
So that's what Raman actually shared with me. He was like, I have to be stressed to get work done, but I hate being stressed. So this sucks. I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that's relatable. Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's talk a bit about your career. You used to work at Google, right? And then you ended up leaving. You worked on a very big project that brought you here to Singapore.
Yeah.
Can you just walk me through your career journey, like starting from when you graduated at Berkeley?
Yeah, for sure. So when I graduated Cal, I was a business major, so I went to Haas, and I like initially thought I wanted to work in finance, like investment banking, like so many other people. But after like summering it in it, I was like, I don't think this is necessarily for me. So I ended up actually working in tech as a business person as my first job, which was like at the time unconventional, because 90% of people I knew at Berkeley in business went to like accounting, banking, consulting. Like it was the ABCs. I went to T, I guess. So I worked a year at Amazon, and it was actually a very exciting time to be there, because it was the same year that Alexa came out. It was the same year that Prime Now, the 1 hour delivery, also launched. So it was like pretty cool. Like I kind of felt like this is like the industry I know I want to be in. But I didn't actually love working at Amazon specifically as much as like I thought I would, because I feel like it's a very like I would say like the company culture is like a little bit more like operationally intensive and cutthroat, whereas like I think I'm more like a creative kind of person, very mission oriented, like I like having heart in the things I do. Amazon didn't really feel like that to me as much, even though like there were a lot of really interesting projects. So an opportunity came to actually go work at Google. And I took it because I was like, okay, like at the time I was like, hey, like Google's that company that everybody wants to work for, right? Like you might as well like give it a shot. So I was at Google for 6 years. And during that time, my first role was in strategy and operations for the CMO, or the chief marketing officer. So the role actually wasn't like super fun, but the exposure was really cool, where being on that team allowed me to know about the interesting, like innovative skunk work stuff that was happening at Google. So that's how I came upon a team called Next Billion Users. It's like the emerging markets team.
Yeah.
And that's actually how I ended up working on a series of products, including what is now Google Pay.
Yeah.
And I moved over to Singapore with that team to actually lead growth for that particular market. And it was such a awesome experience. Like, I feel like I hit the freaking jackpot in terms of teams at Google, because like it was a product that grew from like 0 to 100 million users in 3 years that like I was working there. So you didn't really like, you know, have to go through that whole Google struggle of like, oh, like I have a billion user product already and I work on a single button. It's like we got to do a lot of things that you typically wouldn't get to do at Google. It was very like entrepreneurial in a way. So that's like how I got started, and I was very lucky like at Google to like work at like this, you know, team that grew super fast and had this like amazing mission of like, you know, helping bring, you know, the products that used to work for the first billion users in the US, Europe to like the next billion in like India and Indonesia and beyond.
Yeah. I've heard about that. I've chatted with a couple people who were on that project, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're all out here, right?
So Google Pay was actually the, I think one of the biggest product teams at a major tech company outside of the Bay Area.
Oh,
it's
wow.
just, they've built like a huge presence in Singapore, but also like in India as well. But there still is actually a lot of like GPay alum that are in Singapore right now.
So when you joined that project, you were moved to Singapore. Like, what was that decision like for you? Did you know you wanted to come out here?
Actually, at the time, like I didn't have like it wasn't like I planned my life where I was like, oh, I need to go abroad, right? Yeah. But when my manager at the time came to me and kind of brought up the idea of like me moving to Singapore to work on this role, like it was like this weird like clarity I had where I was like, this is the decision I needed to make in my life that I never knew I needed to make. But I feel like after I walked away from that conversation, I was like, oh, I think I'm just gonna go. So I did some thinking, I talked to some people, and then like in 48 hours I went back to my manager. I was like, yeah, move me. He was like, movie, chill. Like, you know, do you wanna like think more about it? I was like, what's the downside? I'm like, you know, I feel like, I don't know, I felt something in me that like I needed to be out there.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like fate.
Kind of. It's like, I don't know, like something in me, like I've danced around decisions before. So it's not like I'm always like the most decisive person, but that one just felt like so decisive to me. Like I was like, and I mean, I had also been traveling around a lot for my role at Google when I was in the Bay Area. So like, you know, the idea of like being abroad like wasn't like new to me in a way. Like I was traveling so much, but then I was like, well, I get to like travel even more and like, you know, see the world.
How old were you like at the time?
I think I was 26, 25, 26.
Okay. Yeah. It's like around the same time as me.
Yeah. That's why I said like it was like my mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like it was a make or break kind of moment for these types of decisions, because I kind of felt like, oh, if I said no to this, like I think I'm just gonna be in the Bay forever. Yeah. Right? Which again, I'm not saying is not a good thing, but I was like, if I wanted to like just like itch a curiosity of what life could be like, you know, without like signing myself up to like, you know, my fate being this way forever in this one place, I was like, yeah, I should just like take a chance and see. Like, clearly, like, you know, turned out to be something that I really did want for myself.
Wow. So you've been here for how long now?
Since 2018, so 7 years.
Wow, for 7 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, last time or like when I first came, I think you were here for 5 years. It's been almost 7 now. Because I've been here for like 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The time really flies. I'm like, wow, I met you 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was like yesterday.
I know.
Yesterday outside the club in our heels. Like, oh my god.
I remember your dress. I think it's like we were both wearing sparkly.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so funny.
I still like vaguely remember that night. I was just like, honestly, like, I mean, that was probably the most memorable conversation I had that night because I'm like, that's the first time I met Ernestine.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And then we got KBBQ like a few weeks later.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And I met your friends.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so you've been here for 7 years. Like, how do you like it?
I really like it here. I feel like it's sometimes hard to describe to people like what I like about Singapore, but I feel like when I'm here, it's just like it's a place where I feel really safe and it's like very convenient.
Yeah.
So it allows me to like take a lot of risk because I feel like founder life is a bit chaotic. So I'm like, I felt like I mean, Bear is fine and everything, but SF could be a bit chaotic. So I feel like here is like where I feel like I can thrive. Doing what I do. And I also really like having friends from like all different countries. Like, man, I mean, I don't count it on my hands, but like, or on my fingers, but I'm sure I have friends from like at least 30, 40 countries, you know?
That's
and
wild.
It's like you get to like travel without traveling by just like hearing people's like life story. Like, oh, what is it like to like grow up in the south of Italy? Or like, what is it like to grow up in Mongolia? You know, it's like, that's pretty freaking cool. And I feel like it gives you a level of exposure like that's different than like, you know, only being around people that grew up in Cupertino.
I like you.
Or like you, right? So it's like perspective. Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest thing I've gained too. Is like, a more global worldview. Yeah, it's like something that you'll never lose, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think like it really changes you and in a good way, right? To like, I feel like you've seen a lot more and like it also makes you like a more accepting person of others and like more open-minded because you're like your idea of what's normal and like what people think, feel, culture, like it's all like just your own, like it's your own perspective on things. It's not a universal thing you assume everybody around you know believes in the same way.
Do you feel like you'll be out here how much longer, or is it forever for
you? You know, I don't really know how like to plan all this stuff. I do know that a lot of like, you know, the business opportunities for Peak are like in the US. So I plan on spending more time in the US for like, I guess a, you know, certain amount of time where it makes sense. But in terms of like where I'm gonna be in like 1, 2, 3 years, like I really don't know. I mean, I just signed a lease to rent here for
I heard, you got a house, right?
I'm renting in Newton, so we're moving to like a bigger, me and Agram are moving to like a bigger place, like 2 stories, 2,000 square feet. So I mean, we'll be here for like, you know, at least the foreseeable future, but I think life is fun when you don't really know exactly where you're going to be. I'm like, I'm okay with that. It's fine, you know, just kind of
I love that.
roll with it. Like, do you ever feel like you're also like, you know, figuring things out?
I haven't gotten to that point where I feel okay with not knowing. I'm still kind of like a control freak, to be honest.
It's okay.
Like,
I mean,
what's next? And I have to figure out now and this and that.
I think it takes time. I mean, I feel like I probably was like more similar in that way, like you know, a few years back, but I think entrepreneurship kind of like grinds you down in a way where you're like, you can't expect anything to go the way you expect it to, and in a good and a bad way, right? So you just like are like, life will just happen in a way, but just know that like, if you like, I'm an optimist, so I do think as long as like you are true to who you are and you work hard and you try to do the right thing, like over the long term, like it will all work out, even if in the short term there's bumps.
Yeah, so true. So I want to talk about like your journey to becoming an entrepreneur. You were at Google. Like, why did you choose to leave? Was there a catalyst, or like how were you feeling during that time?
I mean, I think there's a part of me that like had wanted to go off and be a founder like well before I ended up making the move. Like I always felt like, you know, it's just like, you know, an ADHD person has to mask as a normal person in a day-to-day life. I feel like I've always been this entrepreneurial, like don't like, you know, have this disregard for authority, want to do things my way, like obsessive nature. I've always had it in corporate. Like I had it too, but like I also had to dial it back because like I'm like, I can't like tell my leaders I think their idea is stupid, you know? Like that doesn't really boil over very well. Or like, you know, I did do a lot of like really random initiatives when I was at Google. Like I learned how to do UI UX design. I worked on this project called Moneyball, which was really interesting at the time, which is like AI sentiment analysis. This was like pre LLM age. So like this was like 2000.
I feel like we still need that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I was like fascinated. I just like found some dude working on this project at Google, like had no relationship to my team, but I was like, I think this is so interesting. So I was like, I want to do a 20% project with you. Like I just like, you know, hustled my way, right? Yeah. But the true, I think, catalyst or series of catalysts that got me to finally pull the trigger in 2021 was COVID, honestly. I think that was a big part of it. I was just like really like, I had not much to do. I feel like my job was like kind of more chill at the time. And I started to do a lot of reflection on my life. And I was just like, look, I don't feel like I'm like learning and growing as much at Google anymore. And I felt like I already like landed the jackpot in like the work I was doing. And I'm like, I just not another team I would want to be on at Google. Yeah. I don't know if there's another company I'd want to be at besides Google. So I was like, I feel like, you know, this might be the better time than ever to like go off and do something on my own. And especially because there's no distractions, right? Like nobody was traveling. I was like spending like, outside of rent, I was spending like less than $2,000 a month because there's nothing to do. Yeah. So I'm like, it's okay if you're poor, you know, if you don't make that much money. I'm not spending that much money. So I think the stars finally, like, it's like I had the latent intention here, but then the stars in my external environmental factors finally aligned where it felt right. And then also financially, it did help that like I felt like, hey, like I have money to like savings to like sustain myself. So like I didn't feel like I only had like a year of personal runway and I had to make it work. I'm like, oh, I can do this for like 10 years if I wanted to. Yeah. If I was like not spending money, right? So that like ultimately gave me more of the, I guess, the comfort to like take the leap.
Yeah, it's like the stars aligning. Do you remember how much you had saved at that point?
Yeah, I think at that time I probably had around 800,000 saved.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was like back in 2021, right before the crash. Yeah, so it's for like 800, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that's like very good runway. Like how much are you able to share like how much you were making at Google?
Yeah, I was making around 170K base, and then the bonus and stock on top was about 2x.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I see.
So yeah, I mean, you do leave some money on the table when you leave a job at Google.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, you weren't fully vested or anything.
No, I mean, I did give up some stock, right? Like you basically have a lot of people like do say, and it's very true, that like Google gives you the golden handcuffs because you get vests at different periods. So sometimes like when you leave, you might miss like a $50,000 or $80,000 vest at a certain period of time. Like you are giving up that money, but to what end, right? Like you make that vest and all of a sudden you're like, wait, but there's another vest that's even bigger. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Like screw the financials. Like I'm just gonna like do it when I'm emotionally ready to do it.
Yeah, I love that. So you were already in Singapore. Like tell me about your first company. Like what has that entrepreneurial journey been like for you?
So when I left Google to do a startup, I went through a program called Entrepreneur First, or EF. I guess it's like, it feels like it's like VC plus like speed dating. Like you basically go in without like a co-founder, or sometimes not even really an idea, but you like meet a whole bunch of people and then you like try to see if you can like create a company out of it, really. So it's like pre like the stage at, like it's like idea stage, and like founding team stage. So that's actually how like I got my journey started. And I mean, I went through like a few different concepts from then since then and like now with like Peak, but I did stuff in like, I was looking at like remittances for migrant workers. That was like the first like thing I explored during the cohort. Then that led to like stable coins, which is in the crypto space, because we're like, oh well, if we're trying to like do remittances, why not try to do it on crypto, because it's like, you know, maybe the exchange rate's cheaper, etc. And then within the crypto space, which I was in for like a few years, I moved from stable coins to like tokenization, which is the whole like concept of taking something that exists in the physical world, like dollars or real estate properties, and then putting it on the blockchain for people to be able to trade or buy. And then from that, so that was all under my first company called Blue Jay. And then from there actually is when I got to Peak. So it has not been like linear at all. I don't even know if it's funny because I don't even think Peak was an idea I even kind of thought about when I first joined EF, but then I like naturally found my way into the problem after 4 years. So yeah, that's it's definitely it's a non-linear and unexpected journey in both like a positive way, because sometimes you find out things or learn things that you didn't expect, but there's also of course like things that are very difficult, right, that you don't always expect as well.
I think it's amazing how you just figure life out with action. Like once you just start doing things. I mean,
it's like vibe coding. It is. It's like vibe coding, but life.
Just try.
You know? Just try. No, seriously, and you debug. You try, and you're like, oh, like let me just debug or like pivot and do something else. Like, it's like, if anything, like I mean, obviously, I feel like I've reached a point where like I've gotten some financial benefit from what I've been doing, but like if anything else, I'm like if I get absolutely nothing financially out of my startup life, I at least learned this lesson of like I feel like I'm capable of doing anything if I put my mind to it. Like I don't think I would have felt that way like a few years ago, but after going through all this, it's like you've hit so many points where you're like, oh my God, it's so over. Oh my God, I'm so screwed. Oh my gosh, like how am I gonna solve this? And you just do. Like you just figure it out.
So crazy, like the founder journey. I feel like it takes a certain type of personality, and like being okay with the chaos, basically.
I mean, okay, not just okay, but like I've kind of come to like it. It's like maybe it's you're like you're like a thrill seeker, like adrenaline junkie. I'm like, that's why like, you know, I haven't been that different from when I was a kid, because like I used to do that by climbing trees and like literally climbing my parents' house. They were so pissed at my brother and I, because they're like, you guys can get killed. We literally like we found like these hooks that my dad had in his garage, tied it to like jump ropes, and we used that to climb our house.
Dude, wait, I feel like we're very similar. But like when I was little, I tied shirts because like, okay, at my grandma's house or my grandparents' house, outside there's this staircase, like an outdoor staircase. And then instead of walking the stairs, like I wanted to see if I could climb up like rope. But I didn't have rope, so I literally tied shirts together and freaking tied it to the top, and then I tried to climb it. Like I was also like that actually. I feel like you wouldn't expect that of me but as a kid I was such like a tomboy. Like I loved basketball. And I was also very like everywhere.
Dude. I was I think part of the reason why I was also shy, by the way, was I remember as a kid I mostly hung out with boys until I was like 7-ish, because like I was like I really liked video games. I was like very hyper. Like I liked sports, physical activities. I wasn't into like clothes or like looking cute or whatever. But then at some point, boys stopped wanting to hang out with girls because like cooties or whatever. And then I was like, well, all my boyfriends, all my like guy friends like didn't want to hang out with me anymore. So I was like, shit, I had to find out how to like hang out with girls, and I was like, it was like a new learning process.
Oh, learning process.
But
interesting.
No ways. Like I mean, maybe you're the same way too, because like I feel like you've like taken some like risks and like, you know, chances on your career as well, like moving out here and also like doing all the amazing things you're doing at your age with your career in journalism. Like I feel like you know, that like thrill seeking, like adrenaline thing, like I still have it as an adult, but I don't climb trees and I don't climb buildings anymore. But I like get to scratch that itch by like doing a startup and like feeling the roller coaster, you know?
I love it. I feel like I really resonate with that. And for me, it's more like I hate boredom. But anytime I feel stagnant in life, like it bothers me to my core. But anyway, so now you're working on Peak. What are some major lessons you've learned along the way?
Oh man, oh my gosh, so many. I've learned that a lot of like product decisions should be made with as like short of a time frame as possible. And what that means is sometimes you have to make a lot of decisions before you're fully comfortable with what the numbers are telling you. So I'll just give you an example. When you are doing like a product where like, if you're in the beginning, you're like, oh, we like onboarded like 20 new users, right? Like you cannot really wait for statistical significance. You gotta like get some directional sense. And then the rest is really filled up with like, I would call like taste or intuition. It's like the left brain, right brain thing. So left brain is like numbers, like logic. Right brain is kind of like, you know, it's like when you know like a movie is good, sometimes you're like, I can't describe it as like an X factor that makes it good, but like it makes me feel something. And so much of consumer and so much of what I do is actually feelings based.
Yeah.
So like trusting your gut and making that and not waiting for like, you know, 2 months to like realize you like this was not the right way to approach things. Now like we try to do things like way faster. So I now have like this little internal rule I have for myself. I call it like the 1 week MVP, but it's like if I have an idea for something and my gut is telling me to do it, instead of like try to gather all the data to like be like, oh, well, now I have the confidence to build it over 2 months. It's more like get just enough data that you can feel like is directionally correct and find a way to like scope the feature down to such bare bones that it can be built in a week. So you can like get results right away. So I would say like things that used to take me so much longer to like move, and what I mean by like so much longer, I mean like months. I'm trying to boil those decisions and like building timeframes to like days now.
That is so helpful because I feel like that applies to not just startups, but also even, for example, like for me, I'm working on content, right? Like content, how do you know if you don't have enough data, whether or not something works?
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same thing with your startup. It's like you don't have enough data to figure out whether or not it works. And then, so I guess that's actually a question I was gonna ask you is how do you decide? Because you know, a lot of entrepreneurs are like, you just have to be consistent, keep doing what you're doing. But the thing is, how do you actually decide between I should stay consistent on what I'm doing, like how I'm doing it, versus is it time to pivot? Like how do you decide between pivoting and staying the course?
So when I think about consistency as a startup founder, I don't think of consistency in terms of like you have to like always do the same thing and keep like you know, building upon decisions that you've made before, right? I think of consistency as like being consistent in your practice of like always sharpening your decision making skills. And what I mean by that is for example, I'm really consistent in like trying to improve my coding skills and like consistently improving how I can guide and help my product team, right? I'm consistent in posting on social media because it helps me learn from like the best of the best from all over the world how to do things. So I'm consistent in like my practice. But when it comes to like, you know, pivoting or changing your mind, like you should definitely do it when you feel like there's enough data that tells you what you're working on isn't gonna work. Now this becomes more of it's a skill that you have to hone over time, right? There's no right or wrong answer, but you should like, before you do something, you should always think, how long do you want to run this experiment and what do you need to see? So for instance, in the world of Peak, what we care a lot about is this feature that we're building going to improve habit creation, habit formation for people around their money, which comes down to how many days a week additionally are they going to be using the app, or how much more likely are they going to be retaining in the second week. So I think sometimes frameworks help, like if it helps people to be like, oh, only 1 week MVPs, or maybe only 2 week decision periods, and you have to put hard numbers down. You should do that. And over time you start to like finesse it and know like how much slack you can give to like certain decisions.
Interesting. I love that. Okay, last 2 questions for you. So I guess my first question is your personal finance, right? Because you, especially during your 20s, and now, I mean, I know that you're living basically in a hacker house. With like, you're living with like 3 different people and you don't need to. So yeah, any last like financial advice you have for people? How do you like hack your finances in your 20s, 30s?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, I'll caveat and say that it's such a different world today because I think given like the state of like AI and like economy and everything, like what has worked for me might not work for everyone. But I will say this as a general piece of advice is that find a way to like kind of make a decent amount of money early on in your career because compounding effect actually is true, right? Like the earlier you are, the longer time your money's like is, just sitting in the market, the more that it grows over time and allows you to like basically take risks when you're like, in your
when you're
a little bit older, right? So back then for me that was like, working at a company that gave me equity, right? Working at a Google or an Amazon where you're like, you didn't have to take that much crazy risk, but your stock options just like kind of, lifted a lot of your net worth, right? I think today those opportunities could be like, I don't know, becoming a content creator. I mean, there's this girl that I met. She does like personal finance content on TikTok and Instagram, and she went to Berkeley, like works at Google. Yeah, Lillian.
Oh, I know her.
She like, I think she reminds me of like what I probably would have done if I were her age at this time.
Yeah.
Like I probably would have done content and stuff because I'm like, oh my God, like if you're like well-spoken and you have interesting ideas, like you can make like $200,000.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying everyone should be a content creator, but like find something where like you can like at an early age, like have like the best leverage for your time to make money because that will like give you a bit of a cushion. Right. So I know some like people on Twitter who are like really young who are like doing like, cash flow generating businesses. Right. It could be like a GPT wrapper and then they like put it on the app store and then they like make some TikToks and like make some money. Like even if it makes $5,000 a month, it's like, you never know, like that gets you somewhere. So I do think like caring about how you can make money early does matter.
Yeah.
I don't want it to feel like, oh, money is the only thing that matters, but it's like money will give you freedom to do the things you want to do when you're a little older. And you're not constantly on this cycle of like, oh, I have to keep doing things as a way to like make sure I can make ends meet, and you're like constantly not able to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of how I would, like at least in the early parts of your career, like, think about that. Like it is important. And then the other thing is, if you want to do interesting things with your, like, I guess, time and take risks, even if you have like savings, like don't let lifestyle inflation like get to you, right? I mean, you did mention like, yeah, I live in a hacker house. Like I do have like, I'd say like pretty decent savings for like my age, but I try not to spend that much money because to me like that is what keeps you from going broke.
Yeah.
Right? Because you never know like how that inflates. Plus like what happens is like if you start spending money, you start to like become part of social circles that like care a lot about spending money to kind of keep up and be in that circle. Like I know a lot of like people who are
That's
like
so true. I never thought about that way.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's like then you start to like you're like
you have to play the game.
You have to play the game, right?
Yeah.
Like so that's why like a lot of people like in finance, for instance, like in banking, like the job I thought I was going to, like there's like a huge lifestyle inflation because all of a sudden it matters like what apartment you rent, what do you wear, like what watches you have. Oh, where do you have a yacht? Like where do you summer? Where do you do all these things? And like what's great is I'm friends with entrepreneurs and we're like the brokest smart people you will meet where like a lot of people like don't spend that much money.
You act broke, but you're not broke.
Yeah, like it's like, yeah, like pretty much. I know, Akram like makes fun of me all the time because like I act like I don't have money and like I'm like, I'll have times where I'm like, oh, like I know, like I walked here and I was like, oh, I just didn't want to take a Grab, so I walked here like in 25 minutes in the sun. And I'm like, I'm still like that because I'm like, I don't want to like I still care about the value of money, right?
Yeah.
And get steps in. But like I am that way because I'm like, I feel like it's like these habits will keep your money and keep you from being broke and also keep you from like getting on that hamster wheel where like the lifestyle just starts to compound and then like you kind of start to like formulate your lifestyle, your friend circle and everything around the idea of having to spend a lot of money. And then
I never thought about that way, but that's so true because it does impact your social circles and it compounds.
Like it does, yeah.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like again, this is totally fine if you have the money. If your income is like high, right? Like I have savings when my income's not like, I mean, from my company, like from a startup, it's not that high. But if you make like $30K a month or $40K a month and you're like a senior partner at a law firm, like yeah, have a fine dining hobby, like that's fine. But like I can't have that hobby, and I feel like if I like
fine dining habit.
I mean,
it's like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, like some people like it is their thing. Like
Yeah.
they like to eat nice food all the time. Like spend like $300 on food all the time, and that's. I'm not saying that's not okay, but I'm like I can't like that can't be like a social circle I have because I'm like I'm not dropping like thousands of bucks on food a month.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like if you want to keep your freedom, and I feel like you could get to a point where you become paycheck to paycheck, or
yeah,
it's
and
like,
you.
yeah,
So many people in New York are like that, making
so
six
true.
figures,
I
like
know
paycheck,
so many people like this.
paycheck to paycheck, because you're like, you feel like you have to keep up, and
Yeah.
and the thing that like you realize at one point is like, you know what, your true friends don't really care,
Yeah.
right? And if like, I've had friends in situations before, like, oh, maybe they were like laid off, or maybe they're like taking time off or whatever. They're like, hey, like I can't like I can't be like going out to eat at all these places all the time. Like, no, it's fine. Let's go get boba. Like, you know, your friends don't care.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. Yeah,
It doesn't
it's like
matter.
company.
I'm not judging you or anything. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, like let's just get boba or like cook at home. I don't care. It's fine. I just want to spend time with you.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
I love that. That's such great advice. Okay, last one for you is what's your advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, or maybe people who feel like they want to take a leap but they don't know how or when? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I have so many things I can say. I'd say number one is if you're serious about it, you actually should give yourself a lot of time to figure it out. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna give myself 6 months, and if it's not my thing, like I'm gonna stop. I actually might tell you like again, it's not to say you have to commit to it. Like, you know, if you decide it's not for you, but like 6 months is not a lot of time to make it work, right? I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. There's this kind of a magic number. It's called the 4-year rule. And it's like, a lot of people take actually 4 years to fully find their groove, for find something that works. Like even the people who are like the 17-year-old savants on Twitter, they're like, oh, wow, you've made a company that makes $30 million a year. They started building when they were 13. Like they followed the 4-year rule, right? And it's because the first year, you're just gonna like suck at being a founder. Like you're just gonna make a lot of bad decisions. Now my caveat is I was a founder pre-GPT era, so I think I probably learned things a lot slower than people now. So maybe people who are smarter and better at using AI from the start might be faster. But for me, it took me like 1 full year to feel like I could make good decisions. And then it's like the next few years are like just pure statistical chance around your idea, right? Because you're not gonna always hit. So a lot of people like, they overestimate how much they can get done in a year, but they completely underestimate how much they can get done in 5. So I'm like, if you want to do this, like prepare for the long run if you're serious, right? Like if get your savings in order, right? I was like, look, if I don't pay myself for a decade and I eat ramen, I could technically do that. So I like knew I had time, right? When people don't have enough time, they kind of give up before really giving themselves a full chance, right? And that's like actually really sad to see. And like sometimes it's not really their fault. It's like, oh, they hit a point where they hit 2 years and they're like, I'm just broke.
Yeah.
Or like I'm just like I didn't set up a support system to like help me get through the harder times. I was like, I need the money support system, and I need like people around me so that like I know I can like get past the inflection point, which like honestly 4 years in, like it's 4 years for me. It's actually 4 years for Grim too, right? Like if we had given up at year 2 or 3, we would have never seen any of this through. But like we got through like times where like, you know, he's been in debt, credit card debt. Yeah, I've had times where like, you know, I had to, you know, take a little bit from savings, you know, things like that. Like you have all those moments, right? But like if you didn't like just get through that and believe that, like just like give yourself a bit more time, like none of this would happen. So
yeah, because there are those crazy stories of people who are like dead broke and then they still made it, but that's so difficult. Like you don't have to do it that way. Probably like there's probably like a smarter and like better way to do it if you plan ahead enough and like you know you want to become a founder to save up enough money. Like plan ahead years before you're actually going to take your leap.
Like plan ahead, like just be there for the long run. Just be like personal runway, what do you have, right? If you don't have, like at least have like 2-3 years. Like for me, I wanted even more, but like have at least 2-3 years, right? If it's like, oh, I only could like give myself a year to make it work, I'm like, that's just not enough time. Like you're just not gonna be good at this. Like I think there's this founder friend, Rob, who I look up to a lot because you know, he's been doing this forever, and you know, he has a really successful company. But he was like, yeah, so many people expect to be successful founders in like year 1 and 2, but like no one's a successful surgeon or a doctor in like 1 to 2 years. Like you go through so much training. You're a resident, you have to practice like operating, you have to like study so much. I'm like, yeah, it's true. Like I don't know why so many people like have this perception that like, oh, like, you know, when you're a founder, like, oh my God, you're going to make like 100K in like a few months or whatever. It's like, no, like a lot of times it is training and practice, and like your first product is kind of like your unfortunate guinea pig, right? There's a lot of things where you're like, wow, shit, like this was like, I made a lot, like poor product. I made all my mistakes on you, right? But you have to have that to like grow and learn.
Yeah. Okay. What's like the biggest personal life lesson you've learned throughout your journey in the last maybe 7 years?
Yeah. I think the most important thing is like, you've just got to believe in yourself. And you got to believe in yourself in like a way that like allows you to shut off like the voices in like just around you. And I think that's like something that I take away as a life lesson, like not just with startups, but like in general, when I can help make myself feel happy about my decisions. Because one thing about being a founder, right, is like you are taking a contrarian bet on the world. You're basically saying like, number one, I think that this idea needs to exist in a world, and it doesn't exist in a world today. And I believe I'm the best person to work on it. Like it is like a ridiculous amount of being contrarian, right? So you kind of have to be like used to being committed to thinking that way, even if like the world around you like doesn't always buy your vision, understand your vision until like they do, right? And then they're like, oh, well, you know, I always knew this was going to be the case. And you're like, no, you didn't. But you have to be that way. And then I think that translates into my personal life, because that's allowed me to be like really free in that I feel like I just believe in myself and the things I value. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, right? So for instance, like if I were like, you know, back home, and I feel like I'd be maybe like, if I hadn't gone through this, I might have been much more influenced on like, you know, what I should be doing in life. Like, oh, you know, at 33, like maybe I should be like married and have a kid. Maybe I should have a house. Maybe I should be an adult this way, right? And like, it's so easy to like, when you like don't like radically establish like this self-identity that you have, and this belief in yourself and that identity, like you get swept up in that and like have a midlife crisis in 20 years where you're like, I don't know, like why do I feel like unsatisfied in life when like I don't understand why. And a lot of times it's because you're making decisions because of your surrounding environment, right? So I think being a founder and like having to always constantly like remind myself why I believe in something, even if the rest of the world doesn't see it, helps me feel like comfortable in the decisions I make for myself, where I'm like, I know this is truly, truly what I want.
Yeah, I love that. What a great note to end on. Thanks so much, Sherry.
Yeah, of course.
This is so amazing. Where can they find you? Any last words?
So you can find me on like Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. I'm pretty active on both.
LinkedIn famous.
Yeah. I just like social media. I learn a lot from it, actually.